The next morning, Jae-won bids farewell to RN before Sung-young drops their daughter off to kindergarten. On her way to work, Jae-won spots Chang-suk getting wet in the rain on his way to Jae-won's office. She gets out of the car and runs to greet her stepfather. Meanwhile, a flashback shows Chang-suk taking Jae-won to the psychiatric clinic when she was having a hard time dealing with her mental health as a child. Present-day Jae-won is guilty of having doubted her caring stepfather. She asks Chang-suk to stop worrying about her and asks her driver to drop him safely back home. At work, Jae-won texts Sung-young, asking him to have a chat with her over dinner. Just then, Mr. Han calls Jae-won and tells her how Tae-oh had been adopted by a family from the USA many years ago. He also adds that Tae-oh had returned to South Korea once 4 years ago and once again 7 years ago. Jae-won recalls her conversation with Tae-oh wherein he had mentioned that he had never been to Korea since the age of 8 years old when he was adopted. Jae-won gets a call from RN's nanny who lets her know that she was not able to get in touch with Sung-young. She adds that Sung-young had taken RN away, but the two hadn't returned in a while. Jae-won starts getting worried and calls Sung-young, but the teacher does not answer. At the same time, the nanny leaves to go back home and Sung-young changes from his suit into his regular home clothes. He goes inside the house and leaves a document in his study. Sung-young then leaves in his car, without greeting the neighbors, unlike his usual self. Jae-won goes to RN's kindergarten and learns that Sung-young has picked her up early. She panics and starts looking for her daughter everywhere. The park guard tells Jae-won that RN was with Sung-young. The guard adds that the two were accompanied by a woman and the trio looked very happy. This further adds to Jae-won's doubts and she gets in her car. She calls Secretary Kim to check whether Yoon-jin is working on the painting. When Jae-won learns that Yoon-jin isn't at the company, she rushes to the apartment where Yoon-jin lives. Jae-won bangs on the door incessantly, creating a scene. Later that night, she goes back home to find Sung-young waiting for her. She checks up on RN who is sleeping in her bedroom and confronts her husband. Jae-won's allegations about Sung-young cheating on her don't make sense to him. He tries to deny the allegations, but Jae-won leaves the house to get some fresh air. As she drives away, a former classmate calls Jae-won, asking her to join their reunion. The classmate adds that Yoon-jin was also present at the event, prompting Jae-won to show up there. At the restaurant, Jae-won starts behaving passive-aggressively towards Yoon-jin and brings up her broken engagement. Yoon-jin is embarrassed by her friend's comments but accuses Jae-won of being too drunk. Yoon-jin leaves the gathering to go back home, but Jae-won pours herself more drinks. She eventually wakes up the following day in her house and reads a text from Sung-young. The text asks Jae-won to look for a document in his study. Upon going to the study, Jae-won finds a document that lists Chang-suk, her stepfather, as the person who received the funds from her mother's life insurance. Moreover, the document also states that Chang-suk purchased a property with the insurance money. Jae-won goes to check the property out but notices Yoon-jin entering the house that was listed as Chang-suk. Not only that, but Sung-young also shows there with RN, further alarming Jae-won. Jae-won suffers a panic attack and drives back, thinking about how Sung-young was introducing their daughter to his mistress when she was oblivious. The episode ends with Jae-won almost crashing into someone on the street. The episode review. I pity Jae-won because she can trust no one around her. However, I am also not sure if she is someone we, as viewers, should trust. There is so much going on in the show, and I am not completely sure I understood what happened in this episode. On one hand, we have the suspicion that Yoon-jin is dating Sung-young's twin brother. While on the other hand, it could very well be possible that Sung-young was cheating on Jae-won or hiding something from her. We cannot completely ignore the fact that Jae-won could be suffering from severe mental health disorders like bipolar disorder. This also proves how Jae-won keeps getting into trouble or accidents when she is all by herself. Her injuries could be self-inflicted, and the CCTV footage going blank seconds before Jae-won was attacked could prove that theory. I am not sure if Mr. Han should be trusted because he looks like a dicey character so far. With all that being said, this one is a heavy psychological drama and I cannot wait to see how it progresses.